Miraculous spiritual awakenings. 7 divine changes revealed with prophetic transformations. In the heart of a quaint English village, nestled among rolling hills and fragrant wildflowers, a woman named Emily stood on the precipice of the extraordinary. As she crossed the threshold of the ancient chapel, whispers of hope swirled in the air like golden dust, shimmering with divine promise. The anniversary of her husband's passing approached, suffocating her with grief. Yet the chapel shimmered with an otherworldly glow. Each flicker of candlelight whispered of miracles yet to unfold. Fingers trembling, Emily opened the chapel door. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy with sacred expectancy. Stalwart stones bore witness to centuries of supplication, and as she knelt at the altar, a sudden hush enveloped her. She closed her eyes, desperate for clarity amid the chaos of her heart. A gentle tide of warmth cascaded around her, and with it came a vision. Villagers, once frail and tired, began to leap with newfound vigor. From the sick to the hopeless, they were lifted, embraced by the tender hand of God. Days passed, and with each evening spent in prayer, miracles blossomed in the community. Old Mr. Jenkins, who couldn't walk for years, was seen dancing in the village square. Young mothers found lost peace as their children laughed louder than they had in ages. Emily could hardly breathe as divine transformation unfurled before her eyes. With every whispered prayer to St. Jude, the chapel pulsed with life. It was a miracle movement, filling hearts with wonder. But just as hope reached its zenith, darkness loomed. Emily's youngest, little Lucy, fell sick, violently shivering with fever, her once rosy cheeks pale with distress. Panic gripped Emily as fear tightened its claws around her heart. Desperate for answers, she turned to science, thumbing through research and riddled with doubt. The words, cool and sterile, stung like icy rain on a warm spring day. She felt lost, adrift in an ocean of despair, but her faith waned even as the village thrived. That night, a gentle tug led her back to the chapel. The moonlight kissed the ancient stones, and with each step, the air thickened with divinity. The community, once mere observers of her pain, gathered, eyes wide and hopeful, hearts beating as one. As they joined the plea for Lucy's healing, silence enveloped like a sacred shroud. Emily's voice faltered, but then rose up again with fervor. In that moment, she opened her hands to God, baring her soul like a child asking for comfort. The congregation joined her, their voices weaving a tapestry of prayers that floated up to the heavens. Suddenly warmth flooded the room. A bright light burst forth, illuminating the shadows. All eyes were on Emily, who felt a rush of peace and strength, a grace that swirled around her like a gentle breeze. In that divine presence, she saw not just Lucy but the entire village, healing, thriving together in grace. Joyful cries punctured the air. Rippling through the crowd, the air crackled with energy, as if the very fabric of existence had altered. What was happening? Could this truly be a glimpse of heaven kissing the earth? As the congregation gasped in awe, uncertainty clung to the fringes of hope. Would the dark cloud of doubt return? Or was this the awakening that Emily had longed for, spilling over into every heart in the village? The air thickened, pregnant with anticipation, leaving everyone clinging to the fragile thread of faith, wondering what miracles awaited them next. As the light faded and the echoes of joy settled into moments of quiet wonder, Emily remained on her knees, trembling not from fear, but from a swell of divine love that enveloped her. It was as if the very air around her pulsated with the heartbeat of heaven, and doubt began to fade, replaced by a powerful certainty that God was working miracles not only within her daughter but in the hearts of everyone present. Whispers of hope began to flow softly through the congregation. Neighbors grasped one another's hands, eyes shimmering with unshed tears, each reflecting faith ignited anew. Mothers pulled their children close, their laughter ringing clear as songs of praise. For the first time in too long, Emily allowed the flickers of joy to dance in her heart, believing that their united prayers had tapped into something larger than themselves. But the moment was steeped in complexity, for a part of her heart remained heavy. She glanced toward the altar where candles flickered like stars suspended in prayer, their flames a reminder of her struggle. What if Lucy doesn't heal? She thought, and the fear began to loom again, clawing at the edges of her newfound hope. Just then, the quiet strength of Sister Agnes broke through her contemplation. With a tender gaze, she drew near, gently laying a calming hand on Emily's shoulder. Do not fear, love. God works in ways we cannot always see. Whatever happens, you have already witnessed His grace bring forth miracles from the joy of the village to the warmth in your heart. Embrace this moment of light, for it is not just for the villagers, but a promise for yourself, too. Emily blinked away tears, nodding slowly. Sister Agnes's words reverberated like a comforting hymn in her soul, as if they penetrated deep into the very essence of her being. Perhaps this is what true faith looks like, Emily reflected. A willingness to step forward, even when our hearts tremble. With a newfound conviction, Emily turned her attention back to Lucy. In her mind's eye, she envisioned the vibrant laughter of her little girl, the way her curls danced with joy under the sun. In a surge of hope, she whispered sweetly, "Lucy, I believe in miracles. I believe in you." The warmth that had flooded the chapel moments ago surged again, wrapping around her like a shawl knitted from love. As if to affirm her faith, the light flickered, brighter this time, pulsating softly. Suddenly, the delicate necklace that hung around Emily's neck, a gift from her husband, began to glow with the same intensity, as though it were tethering her to an eternal truth. The atmosphere thickened with something divine, a feeling transcending words. Villagers began to kneel, faces turned upward as if drawn by invisible strings toward the heavens. They sang softly, voices blending together in a melody that rose like incense, thick with devotion. "He is here. He is among us," someone exclaimed, sending ripples of excited murmurs through the congregation. Every heart beat in rhythmic harmony with the other, love igniting bodies and souls, bonding them together in the sacred space of that old chapel. The shadows that lingered inside began to unravel, scattering into light. But just as hope surged, a tremor of doubt dared to linger in Emily's mind. Would Lucy truly be healed? With a heart full yet heavy, Emily felt the edges of her faith tugging against the iron weight of worry. What more must transpire for the miracles to conclude? Did she have the strength to ease her fear and embrace the unknown? The sacred dance of hope and uncertainty enveloped her, leaving a lingering question in the mystical air of the chapel. What if this was merely the beginning, a prelude to a far greater awakening yet to come? The melody of worship lingered in the air, resonating with each heartbeat as the congregation basked in a divine glow. Emily felt the current of faith running through her, binding her spirit with those of her neighbors. Despite the heaviness of her thoughts, she discovered warmth growing brighter in her chest. It was a warmth that spoke of hope woven into every prayer, like threads in a tapestry of grace. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the chapel, causing the candles to flicker wildly, their flames steadying for just a moment before submitting to a gentle pulse. A voice rose among the people, deep and resonant. "God's presence is a lighthouse, guiding us through our storms." It was Brother Thomas, his voice unwavering amidst the swirling emotions. Emily turned to the sound, buoyed by the conviction she heard. "Yes, He is our lighthouse," she found herself agreeing, her heart swelling. Outside, the sky darkened, yet a beam of light managed to pierce through, illuminating the stained glass windows, casting kaleidoscopic patterns across the congregation. The colors danced, bringing to life stories of saints and miracles, of faith triumphing over despair. "Look to the light," Sister Agnes encouraged, her own gaze fixed on the windows. "In every trial, there is a promise of a new dawn. Just as the sun rises, so too shall our spirits rise with hope." Each villager took to heart her words. Faces turned toward the light, surrendering fear, embracing possibility. But Emily's attention shifted back to Lucy. "Oh, my angel," she thought desperately, "how I long to see you bounce into this light, free from pain." With each word of encouragement around her, her faith swelled like a tide, strong and unwavering, even as uncertainty crashed at the shore of her heart. Then, a movement caught her eye. A soft rustling near the altar became more pronounced, and Emily stood, her breath hitching in her throat. Lucy. There, amidst the shadows, her little girl took a step forward, unsteady, eyes wide but bright. The room fell silent, breaths held in collective suspense. Lucy raised her hands toward the atmosphere thick with expectation, a gentle smile breaking across her face. "I can feel him, Mama," she cried out, her voice ringing clear like a bell. "Jesus is here." Emily's heart skipped. Joy rushed through her, flooding every corner of doubt with a pure light. Lucy's confidence illuminated the space, transforming it into a sacred arena of possibilities. Feet shuffled about, eager to witness this unfolding miracle. People began to rise, faith igniting in each of them as if a switch had been flipped. "He is our healer," whispered a woman from the back, and others echoed her belief, voices uniting in a chorus of faith. Emily's tears flowed freely now, joy intertwining with disbelief, as Lucy took another step, moving closer to her mother. The procession of love felt unstoppable. The warmth enveloped them, and Emily knew. This was a moment where heaven kissed the earth. But the doubt, though fading, was still present. Can she really walk? Emily wondered. The question lingered, heavy with possibility, layered beneath the surface of faith. She resisted the urge to grasp tightly to her fears, reminding herself that faith often rises amidst uncertainty. Miracles are meant to be witnessed, she murmured to herself, a ripple of anticipation igniting within. As Lucy glanced toward her mother, Emily found solace in her daughter's gaze, filled with trust. "I believe," Lucy seemed to say silently, a testament to the power of hope that transcends circumstance. Emily straightened her back, standing tall. She would surrender her worries. She would embrace the impossible. The light in the room flickered and pulsed, a hidden force waiting to unveil its might. What more was in store? What depths of faith were about to be revealed? The soft sound of rustling leaves echoed within Emily's heart, a promise of new beginnings just beyond the horizon. The atmosphere thickened with anticipation as Lucy took another unsteady step. Time seemed to stretch, each moment a whisper from heaven. Emily's heart raced, a wild flutter of hope battling the shadows of doubt. The candle flames flickered like the beating of wings, creating a shimmering dance that enveloped the small chapel in divine embrace. "Lose yourself in his presence, dear sister," advised Sister Agnes softly, sensing Emily's turmoil. "Cast your eyes on the miracle before you. Let your heart be the vessel for his love." And so Emily did. The world around her faded, and all that remained was the sound of Lucy's laughter, pure and sweet. Every small step represented not just movement, but a testament to faith. The congregation leaned forward, faces illuminated by light and love, clinging to every precious second. "Yes, you can do it, Lucy," Emily breathed, her voice a fragile thread among the exclamations rising like a crescendo of praise. She could feel the congregation's energy course through her, a collective heartbeat echoing her own. It was as if the walls themselves were urging Lucy on, a tangible presence encouraging her to advance into the light. A few more tentative steps, and then Lucy stumbled, yet before falling, she deftly caught herself. Gasps filled the room, but Emily felt that this was part of the journey. "It's okay, baby. You're so brave," she whispered, pride swelling within her. Then something shifted. The gentle sway of the candle flames became more defined, their light pulling tighter around Lucy like a glowing halo. Emily watched captivated, as Lucy straightened, arms wide open to the heavens. "Jesus, I trust you," she yelled, the innocence of her words reverberating through their sacred space. And in that moment, the doubt within Emily vanished. A profound truth filled her heart, transforming every shadow of fear into rays of light. What if Lucy's steps were the first steps of a miracle? "This is it, Emily. Look," a voice urged, and all heads turned towards the altar where Lucy steadied herself, eyes shimmering with something almost celestial. She took a deep breath, the kind filled with the richness of life, and as if buoyed by unseen wings, she surged forward. A collective gasp arose, a wave of emotions crashing down like rain after a long drought. Lucy burst into a flurry of movement more graceful than any dance. Her feet, once burdened, now touched the ground with joy, her laughter ringing out like bells. The chapel erupted in praise, hands raised, voices raised higher than any songs sung before. Miracles happen when faith meets the impossible, Brother Thomas shouted, his voice rich and triumphant, cutting through the chorus of adoration that filled the room. Emily felt herself swept up in the jubilation. Tears streamed down her cheeks, each drop a prayer, each sob a declaration of gratitude. The realization surged. Lucy was walking, running even, into a new chapter of life filled with unbound possibility. There, in the embrace of the divine, Emily caught sight of a glow behind Lucy. Once again, the light seemed to shift, a brightness that was drawing nearer. It pulsed like a heartbeat, cradled between heaven and earth, a living testament to the promises made. "What is happening?" she whispered, awe weaving through her every thought. Sister Agnes interjected, her eyes glistening. "Look closely, Emily. Sometimes miracles come wrapped in veils of mystery." The radiance shimmered as it drew nearer, leaving Emily's heart racing with expectation. What revelation was unfolding right before her eyes? What awaited them all as the light approached, thick with undeniable grace? As the radiant glow enveloped the chapel, a hush fell over the crowd. Each gaze was fixed, each breath held tight. The air throbbed with a sense of wonder, as though even time had paused to witness this monumental moment. Lucy stood at the center, a child transformed under the embrace of divine light. The luminosity wrapped around her, illuminating her small frame with a golden hue that seemed to pulse. Emily's heart swelled with joy and disbelief. "What is this?" she marveled, her spirit ignited by a hope she hadn't dared to imagine. "It's happening," Brother Thomas exclaimed, his voice a mix of awe and urgency. "What we've prayed for is here." But the reality of the glow was more than just miracles being performed. It began to shape into a form, rising above Lucy like a shimmering mist, revealing a figure radiant and resplendent. The congregation held their breath, caught between fear and wonder. A presence from on high was drawing near, slowly materializing in their midst. Emily could hardly process the overwhelming beauty standing before her. The figure, clothed in flowing white robes, radiated peace and love. Faint whispers of songs echoed around the chapel, as if angels themselves joined this holy gathering. She felt a stirring in her soul, an urging to kneel, but her feet remained driven by faith. "Fear not," the figure spoke, voice like the softest breeze yet powerful enough to pierce through even the most burdensome doubts. "Your faith has opened the heavens, and in this moment of glory, understand that every trial was for a purpose." The crowd's emotions swelled, waves of praise cascading as the figure's words took root. Each heart resonated with the truth, capturing the essence of an eternal promise. Lucy's laughter danced through the air, a sweet melody affirming her freedom. "Jesus, you are my everything," she cried, voice ringing clear and bright. It was a declaration that echoed against the chapel walls and back into their hearts, igniting a renewal of faith in the depths of each spirit present. Sister Agnes raised her hands, caught in jubilant worship. "Look at the love. It cups us all. This light, it's a reflection of God's grace pouring over us." Her fervor ignited a wave of spontaneous worship, bodies rising, arms stretching, voices declaring their faith unashamed. Yet as the precious moment swelled with divine affirmation, a sense of mystery lingered. For every heart rejoicing, there remained a tension, a feeling that something more was about to unfold. Those who had faced trials stood now, allowing their burdens to be lifted by the moment. But in the depths of Emily's heart, questions arose. What lies beyond this miracle? She pondered, gazing into the light. Would the transformation last? Would Lucy face new challenges now that she had stepped into her purpose? A beautiful heaviness settled in her chest, an urging to seek deeper understanding that as the figure began to fade, the brilliance remained a mark ingrained in every heart. "Be prepared," it whispered back, "for every blessing bears a call. Seek, and your journey will still unfold." With those final words, the radiance dispersed, leaving the chapel infused with a lingering warmth. Emily stood trembling, both in awe and yearning. What did the coming days hold, as they navigated the intricate dance of faith? And in that sacred silence, a reality set in. As they celebrated the miracle of Lucy walking, there was an unwritten chapter waiting to reveal itself. Would they embrace the new challenges that accompanied such a gift? Little did they know, the journey had only just begun. What awaited them beyond this glorious moment? Would faith be tested anew? Only time and willingness to respond to the call of the divine would reveal their next steps in this wondrous dance of destiny. As the golden light faded gently, leaving a soft glow within the chapel, a hush still lingered. Each face reflected a mixture of awe and anticipation, as if a sacred moment had etched itself into their very souls. Emily could hear her heart whispering, demanding to know what was to come next. "Did you feel it?" whispered Susan, her eyes wide with wonder. "It was like pure love, flooding over us." Emily nodded, but her thoughts were racing ahead. The promise of what lay ahead was both thrilling and daunting. Lucy, still beaming at the center, danced with unbridled joy, her small feet bouncing like a child in the spring. Yet, it wasn't just joy Emily felt. It was a profound shift, as if the fabric of their lives was about to be rewoven. Brother Thomas stepped forward, his voice steady yet passionate. "The Lord has not just touched Lucy today. This is a call for all of us." He glanced around, meeting the eyes of the congregation. Faith is not a passive existence. We must walk boldly into the light, embracing whatever the Almighty has in store. A ripple of agreement swept through the gathering. The words sank into hearts eager for direction but laden with uncertainty. What did this calling mean? Were they ready to step beyond the comfort of their familiar routines into the unknown that faith often required? Sister Agnes clutched her hands in prayer, her face brimming with fervor. Each of us carries stories, struggles, and victories. Today we stand on holy ground. Let us not forget. We are called to share our burdens and bear one another's. As she spoke, Emily felt a stirring within her, a yearning to act. The divine encounter had awakened something fresh and powerful, igniting a fire that she had long buried beneath doubts. Transformations were not always peaceful. They could call for perseverance, and she now realized that faith did not rest in idle acceptance but flowed through steadfast action. Will we be willing? Emily found herself wondering aloud. Will we embrace the new challenges together? A chorus of murmurs filled the chapel as others began to contemplate their next steps. Each heart pulsated with the energy of a collective awakening, a spirit surging forth ready to embrace faith in action. Suddenly, the doors creaked open. A new figure stepped inside, casting shadows against the soft, fading light. It was an elderly man, weary yet resolute. He moved toward them, a faithful spirit embodying the weight of many untold stories. The congregation fell silent once more, sensing that he carried with him an important message. "Forgive me for interrupting," he said, voice trembling but brave. "I was on my way to pray for healing." Unsure of where to go, his eyes scanned the room, lighting upon Lucy. "I felt something drawing me here. There's a spirit here. This bright, it's alive." The chapel grew still. Curiosity rippled through the gathered. Who would take up the charge of healing? Could this be another test of their faith, another miracle waiting to happen? Without knowing, each member of the congregation began to gravitate toward the elderly man, their hearts beating in rhythm, a chorus of hope. Would they rise together in this new moment? Emily felt the pulsing energy beckon them forward. What if this was the divine call they had been waiting for? As they welcomed the man into their midst, Emily's spirit soared. The dance of faith took on a new meaning. What was God's plan in this moment? With hearts united, they sensed an unraveling mystery before them, filled with divine adventure. In that instant, the call to action was clear. The journey was no longer just about Lucy, but about every soul present. What would the next revelation bring? Would they answer the call to heal, to embrace the uncharted waters of faith together? With anticipation heavy in the air, the congregation stood at the brink of a new chapter, poised to discover what awaited in the broader tapestry of goddess love and purpose. The silence hung heavily in the air, an electric anticipation reverberating through the chapel. The elderly man stood in the soft light, his eyes alive with the vigor of wisdom and experience. There was something regal in his presence, as if the years had crowned him king of an unspoken realm of faith. "Gather around, dear ones," he beckoned, his voice smooth like honey. "The power of prayer knows no bounds. Each of you carries a light within you, but often we forget to shine it brightly." Emily felt the energy rise within her, her heart racing. She closed her eyes momentarily, letting his words plunge deep into her spirit. Yes, she wished to shine. The thought alone brought a warmth that spread from her core, wrapping around her like a loving embrace. As the congregation edged closer, Emily noticed the varied expressions on their faces: curiosity, hope, and a hint of fear intermingled. Brother Thomas placed his hand on the elderly man's shoulder, an act of solidarity. "What can we do?" he asked, his voice steady but infused with yearning. "Together, we can ignite healing," the elderly man replied, his smile radiant. "Healing is not just for the body but also for the spirit." He turned, directing their attention to Lucy, shimmering with innocence and joy. "A child's heart is pure, and her belief is strong. Let her faith be a catalyst for ours." With that, he motioned for Lucy to come forward. The little girl stood there, her eyes wide and trusting. Emily watched as the elderly man bent down, their eyes locking. "Sweet child, do you believe that miracles can happen?" Lucy nodded earnestly, her curls bouncing. "I do. I saw the light." A ripple of shared belief thrummed through the gathered. It was contagious, like laughter unspooling among friends. Emily felt her apprehensions fade into a tender acknowledgement of the possibility before them. "Then let us pray," the elderly man instructed. "Close your eyes, open your hearts, and let us call out to the divine together. Speak your desires, your pains, your hopes, and let the spirit of healing flow through each of us." In an instant, the room transformed into a sacred space. Voices began to rise in beautiful synchronicity. Some whispered soft prayers, while others voiced their requests passionately. It was a tapestry of devotion woven by each soul present, blending together in fervent unity. Emily felt tears prick at her eyes as she joined in. "Heal us, Lord," her heart cried out, "and let us be instruments of your peace." It felt as though chains of doubt and fear were breaking away, replaced by a fiery hope that surged through everyone. The elderly man moved among them, gently placing his hands on heads and shoulders, a gesture of gentle authority. Each touch seemed to radiate warmth, as if the divine itself flowed through him, binding them all closer together as they prayed. Emily caught sight of Brother Thomas, his eyes closed tightly, deeply immersed in prayer. She could see a flicker of light beginning to swirl around him, and she wondered if it was merely her imagination or something more. "Feel the spirit moving," the elderly man called, voice booming now over the symphony of prayer. "Embrace this moment, for when we unite in faith, we bear witness to God's miracles, binding our hearts in love and light." The atmosphere thickened with divine energy, palpable and sweet. Emily's spirit soared higher, a sense of impending revelation wrapping around her like a warm shawl. Suddenly, the chapel doors flung open once more. A gust of wind swept through, seeming to carry with it whispers from beyond. The air turned thick with expectancy, and all eyes turned towards the entrance, anticipation mounting. What could this new arrival mean? What miracle awaited them just outside the doors of their faith? The question sparked a collective breath, drawing them all closer to the warmth of their shared calling. The doors swung wide, framing a silhouette against the fading sunlight. A woman stepped inside, her clothes tattered and limbs worn, but her eyes sparkled with a fierce light. Gasps echoed around the room, as the congregation took in the sight. A soul who had journeyed through shadows and now stood at the threshold of something profound, surrounded by the warmth of prayer. "Who are you?" A voice broke the silence, curiosity laced with concern. It was Emily, still trembling with the expectancy that filled the chapel. "I am Sarah," she said, her voice steady but soft, like the rustling of leaves in a gentle wind. "I've traveled far, seeking peace that eluded me for so long." The elderly man stepped forward, his expression tender yet discerning. "You are welcome here, dear sister. Please, share your heart." Sarah hesitated, and the weight of unspoken burdens seemed to fill the air. She took a deep breath, her chest rising with vulnerability. "I've lost much: my family, my faith, even my way. I was told that within these walls, one could find healing." A palpable silence washed over them, the air thick with sympathy and sacred understanding. Emily could feel Sarah's pain intertwining with her own spirit, a silent call to uplift each other in their shared quest for restoration. "Together we can ignite healing," the elderly man reiterated, echoing his earlier words. "Tell us, what do you seek?" "I seek hope," Sarah replied, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I am tired of darkness. I long for a spark to guide me back to light." "Let us pray for you," Brother Thomas offered, his voice infused with compassion. And as he spoke, the congregation joined in unison, their voices creating a gentle wave of hope, washing over Sarah like rain upon parched earth. "My heart aches for you, dear sister," Emily whispered, her own spirit resonating with urgency. "You are not alone. We are here." The chapel transformed again, the air buzzing with sacred energy. Chants of prayer melded together, rising higher and higher, wrapping around Sarah like a comforting cocoon. Emily focused on the warmth emanating from the group, feeling it flow toward Sarah, a current of collective faith igniting their spirits. And then, in a moment that felt suspended in time, Sarah lifted her hands, eyes closed, illuminated by the fervor of their prayers. "I feel something," she murmured, her voice breaking ever so slightly, like a light igniting within. "Let it flow," the elderly man encouraged, his presence melding with the divine current that seemed to pulse through the chapel. Sarah uttered her first prayer in years. A soft golden glow enveloped her, dancing across the room like fireflies in the summer dusk. Emily watched in awe as Sarah's face transformed, pain slowly giving way to something beautiful: relief, courage, and a resurgence of faith. The congregation erupted in joyful cries. "Hallelujah! Praise the Lord!" Mixed emotions ebbed and flowed, and Emily felt the collective heartbeat of faith pulse with renewed strength. Joy mingled with hope, and as the light around Sarah grew brighter, Emily knew, without a doubt, a miracle was unfurling right before their eyes. But just then, the chapel doors rattled again, and the winds howled through the space. A new presence loomed on the edge of the threshold, darkening the golden glow that had so lovingly filled the room. What might this new arrival bring? Would it be a challenge to their newfound hope, or a deeper calling they had yet to understand? The congregation stirred, curiosity peeked through their joy, and a silence draped once more as they waited for the unfolding of the divine mystery. A heavy silence settled over the chapel as everyone turned their attention toward the door. The air felt electric, charged with anticipation and uninvited tension, like a storm on the horizon. Shadows danced across the walls, their abrupt movement adding to the palpable unease that gripped the hearts of those gathered. The figure framed by the doorway emerged, a man cloaked in darkness. His face was obscured, but the weight of discontent could be felt even from a distance. The golden light that had shone around Sarah dimmed slightly, as if reality itself paused at the arrival of this unexpected guest. "Who dares disrupt this sacred moment?" The elderly man's voice rang out, rising above the murmurs that filled the air. "You are not welcome here unless you seek peace." The cloaked man stepped forward, revealing sharp eyes that flickered with defiance. "I seek that which you claim to offer," he said, his voice possessing an unsettling calm that echoed throughout the hollow space. "But I warn you, I am not here for miracles or light. I bring truth." Emily felt her heart racing. Truth was a curious thing. It had the power to elevate but also to shatter illusions. She glanced at Sarah, whose tentative smile began to waver. How would this confrontation unfold? Would it lead to a greater revelation or deepen the shadows already lingering within these walls? "What truth do you speak of?" The elderly man asked, squaring his shoulders defiantly against the newcomer. What darkness lies within your heart? The stranger's gaze traversed the congregation, lingering on their hopeful faces. Hope is often a mask we wear, he said, his words like sharp daggers. You believe you can find healing here, but the burdens of your souls, they cannot be wished away. They must be confronted. A hush fell over the congregation, and Emily felt a chill creeping into her spirit. Was this man a herald of change? Or was he simply an unsettling distraction from the miracle that had begun to unfold? She turned to Sarah, who stood frozen, her golden glow flickering like a candle flame caught in a draught. I will not allow fear to extinguish our light, Emily whispered, conviction rising within her. You are stronger than this, remember the warmth surrounding you. As if sensing Emily's quiet encouragement, Sarah lifted her chin defiantly, eyes locking onto the stranger. I have walked through the dark, faced my demons. I now choose to claim my light. Her voice rang through the chapel, a spark igniting hope anew. The cloaked man regarded her with an unreadable expression. And what if your light leads you to awakened pain? What if the truth is sorrow-laden? Before Sarah could respond, Emily stepped forward, bolstered by Sarah's strength. Facing truth is part of the journey. Pain can be a doorway to greater understanding. We do not fear it. We embrace it. A storm of emotions swirled in the room, rising and twisting together like the winds outside. The congregational pulse quickened, hearts beating in unison as they prepared to confront whatever challenge this man would bring. The cloaked figure was silent for a moment, his intimidating presence seemingly softening. Perhaps there is an appointment awaiting this gathering, one that brings deeper lessons than you realize. But with his cryptic words still hanging in the air, a brilliant light erupted from behind Sarah, illuminating the chapel brighter than all previous moments combined. This was a divine signal. Would they stand together against this force of doubt? Which path was before them, faith or fear? Emily could only wonder what awaited on the other side of this pivotal moment. As the chapel filled with light, dread and anticipation coiled in the air. Their sacred refuge had been ignited, but it was also being tested. Emily inhaled deeply as a flood of warmth washed over her. It was the divine reminder that love conquers darkness, that light dispels fear. She could sense the congregation rallying together, hearts sinking to a rhythm of unwavering faith. Sister Agnes, standing boldly in the front, raised her arms high as if to gather all spirits around her. Fear not the shadows that speak, for the truth of God outshines them. Her voice resonated, igniting sparks of courage within each member, including Emily. They stood together, fingers intertwined, eyes locked onto the cloaked figure with resolve. Release your doubts, someone shouted from the back. We are here to shine. Sustained murmurs of agreement curled throughout the chapel, mingling with the brightening light. Each heart was emboldened, a symphony rising in a declaration against the darkness that had entered. The cloaked man's steady gaze swept the congregation, his demeanor shifting, caught in the light's embrace. The burdens of his heart, too heavy to hide, flickered behind his hardened eyes. What can your faith do for me? He questioned, the defiance in his voice tempered by curiosity. Can it heal? A pulse of vulnerability entered his words. Emily took the step forward, emboldened by the collective faith enveloping her. Faith does not promise only healing from wounds or burdens, but the strength to face them. When truth emerges, it paves the way for hope. Her heart raced as she felt the congregation back her, a sea of support flowing through her resolve. Be not afraid of your darkness. It has shaped you, but it does not define you, she continued. Together we can bear witness to the transformation light brings. Come, let us pray together. And as her voice called forth their shared strength, the room seemed to swell with holy energy. They formed a circle around the cloaked man, surrounding him, and for the first time he looked uncertain. Something deep within the space shifted. The air thickened with possibility. Hands clasped tighter as they lifted their voices in unison, raising praises, calling down blessings. God, let your spirit flow through us. Heal every heart, even those that might feel lost in shadow. Cheeks glistened with tears of worship, spirits entwined in ardent devotion. The light swirled, and Emily's heart filled with unshakable conviction. "You can be part of this, too," she called, her voice akin to a sacred invitation. "Join us, and step into this divine light." The cloaked man's facade cracked. For the first time, vulnerability washed over his face. Shadows crept behind his eyes, reminding him of his struggles. But he stood among the warmth of community, the enchanting light radiated by love and hope. "I was driven by darkness," he murmured hoarsely, "but perhaps there can be a flicker of light left within me." At that moment, Lucy, radiant in her joyous innocence, stepped forward without fear. "You can be as bright as us. My dreams can reach far." Her open arms beckoned the stranger closer, her eyes alight with the unwavering faith of a child. An almost imperceptible shift occurred within him. He hesitated, then slowly lowered his hood, revealing weary eyes filled with weariness but also with a spark and ember yearning to ignite. The collective breath among the congregation was suspended in anticipation, holding the moment close like a fragile treasure. Then he whispered, "What if you embrace the darkness still clinging to my heart? Will you accept me as I am?" "Yes." The whole chapel echoed in affirmation, their unity bold and unwavering. They reached out towards him, hands extended, weaving together those who had walked through shadow and those ready to embrace the light. Tears streamed down cheeks, and the dark burden he once wore began to lift. In that space, hope unfurled like the petals of a flower. Emily saw the tiniest flicker of change, and it ignited her own spirit to rise higher. As they prayed, rays of light flooded into the chapel, casting down the shadows and illuminating every face with radiant truth. The chains of pain, sorrow, and doubt fell away. In that fervent moment, healing occurred not just for him alone, but for many. The unity was palpable, the air thick with divine grace, and hearts transformed as they all dove into the sacred unknown together. With heartfelt cries, they began to dance, a celebration of every burden surrendered and joy reclaimed. Laughter rang out, intertwining with worshipful hymns, filling the air with uncontained love. "Oh, how wondrous is our God," Sister Agnes declared, her voice vibrant. "His love has a way of sweeping through our hearts, igniting flames of faith through each story, and wrapping the most broken of hearts with divine grace." The chapel transformed into a tapestry of holy celebration, as souls lightened and spirits soared. Emily could hardly contain her joy. They were no longer just witnesses of miracles, but willing participants, transformed by grace and bound by love. As the last echoes of love-filled praises resonated, an overwhelming peace settled in that special space, a sacred place where heaven touched earth, where faith embraced uncertainty and love prevailed against all. And among them, the cloaked man, now restored, clutched his heart in wonder and gratitude, sensing the profound truth that he had not just found hope but a family tied by the brilliance of healing love and that chapel blessed by unity. Emily smiled, realizing this was just the beginning. The journey had unfolded in beautiful complexity, and there was much to do, many to heal, many to welcome. Hope lingered strong in the air, an irreversible harmony of divine awakening. Together, upon this holy ground, they sensed a sacred mission take shape. This is how faith moves mountains. Now you have witnessed the transformation of lives. So I call upon you, dear friends, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this community alive. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this miraculous ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true servants of God understand how important it is to uplift each other through these actions.